Are you experiencing back pain that you can't get rid of? Getting migraines, vertigo, having trouble sleeping, and/or brain fog? Do you feel like your medical doctor doesn't understand your condition? Blair Chiropractic might be the solution you've been looking for. If you've ever been skeptical about this, the two doctors you're about to listen to were even more skeptical than you were when they looked into chiropractic work. But fear not. Get expert guidance from the blonde and the bald, Doctors Beth Bagley and Frederick Schurger. These two doctors have extensive experience beyond the healthcare realm and bringing unique vision and healing to their patients. What do you have when you get a biological analyst and an engineer together? Find out right here on another episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Welcome your hosts, Doctors Bagley and Schurger.
All right, then we're going.
Oh my gosh, we just start talking and we're like, we should be recording this.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
Everyone just missed. Go ahead and say it again without the one thing that we didn't want recorded.
All of it you don't want recorded. There were words that are not allowed on some podcasting sites, and on YouTube, I think I would have had to blur out the symbol I made with my fingers.
Probably.
But none of that was towards Dr. Schurger. That was towards a hell of a day at sea, sir.
Those happen. And quite honestly, it's been one of those weeks. My first half of the week was really busy. The second half hasn't been as bad, but before I did a pseudo podcast with Dwayne Hoskins over at Titronics, who, for those of you who are unfamiliar, he's one of the lead sales and research and marketing guys for the instrument that we use to measure the temperature on the back of people. And they have a new product out that is cloud-based. And my biggest reason to go cloud-based for everything is just simply security, because we are small businesses as chiropractors, and eventually, we're going to get. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when we're going to have a data attack on us, and we want to make sure that data is safe. HIPAA compliance. I remember when HIPAA was being rolled out, and I had just gone through an OSHA compliance thing. You've probably gone through OSHA compliance when you were back in industry.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I never had to do it for chiropractic, but back in Monsanto days.
Yeah, and it was just, but it's the same thing. It's like, all right, set down your rules and your regs, and show that you're actually doing your rules and regs, and you're accommodating by your processes. And HIPAA is very similar, except for there's also a level of security. And I worry that we don't have this stuff as protective, which is why I've gone to extreme lengths to get it protected, to make sure that it's as secure as possible. And that's and that's sort of one of the pushes I have towards going towards a cloud platform. There's a lot of reasons not to go to a cloud platform.
There are.
The security alone outweighs that mess of
agree.
Of
and honestly,
problems.
like the Titronics, for any chiropractors that have to be listening, I do recommend the Titronics cloud system. First of all, giving them a monthly fee that is not that much money.
No.
To help support them, because they help support us. I'm always about that, and helping us, another small business, succeed with a small monthly fee. But I think it runs faster. I think it honestly was. I was having trouble, because it was server based, so with a computer in my office that it would queue back to. It wasn't the computer I was scanning off of, so I was having trouble. It was taking a long time for a patient to load, and now it happens very quickly.
Right.
It's less glitchy. The only issue we've had is when our internet goes down. But I have a lot more issues when our internet goes down, like our phones don't work.
Exactly.
All sorts of stuff. So
and this is the worst part about technology, is we are so mired in the muck of it that you got two questions on your mind. What happens when it goes down? But does anything work when it goes down? Yeah. And the other half of it, that in my brain, because I see a lot of Amish patients, it's like, oh yeah, my power went out. And they're like, well, how'd that go for you, doc? It's like, yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was sort of like camping. And I do like my air conditioning. And they laughed a little bit at that. And we lucked out that it was pleasant weather when we lost power. So any case,
Well, speaking of weather, right? Weather-related
Yes.
power outages. Have you noticed that your patients react to weather changes?
Yes.
Like certain patients will react to weather changes. I'm
Yes.
gonna say two of them and see if you can add any. I've got migraines that react to weather changes and vertigo that react to weather changes. Do you have any other patients that have things?
Well, I've got a great one. When it was probably back in January, I had they were threatening a really bad snowstorm the next day, and the patients, one of my nuns was brought in by one of her caretakers, and she made the comment, when the snowstorm came in the week before, she felt every bit of it, and because it was in her knees.
Yes.
The threat that they were making, that there was going to be a major snowstorm the next day, which never transpired, she's like, nah, we're not going to get a snowstorm. I felt the one last week, 3 days before. This one here, my knees are fine, and I have more reliability in faith in her knees of an impending storm than I do of the weather forecast.
Oh my gosh, we should make her own like YouTube channel
exactly,
or something, and just focus on how are your knees feeling today, sister.
Oh, that would be so funny, and it would be one of those best channels ever. But it would, and it would probably be more predictive for the local. But one of the things that I would say that's going on, and I apologize that I've got some beeps because I got somebody texting me at the moment. But I bought a couple of barometers to really see what is going on with that. So I've got a barometer right across, right here in the middle of the office. Yeah, it's inside compared to outside, and but you do still have those changes throughout the building when you get a weather change, and you can see it. And what I find really curious is I don't think it's yes, there are people that have the weather change problems, but I don't know if it is a matter of of a big pressure change or the speed of the pressure change that seems to be the factor there. I think the people with arthritis, they can feel that heavier pressure present a little bit more acutely. But I think, I bought it for my Meniere's cases, and I never saw it. And I asked them questions, and like, yeah, I had a bad case, and I'm like, that needle didn't move over the weekend. So it's a lot of questions that just don't make sense, and I think there is a component there, but I don't know what the component is. So it would be nice if it was more obvious.
Okay, so this is one, we've had a couple of our patients using this app and earplug thing called Weather X.
Okay.
Here, I just downloaded the app because I didn't have it on my. So these earplugs, they're actually not expensive, which I love. I mean, in comparison to regular earplugs, they are, but they're only like $18 or $15 or something.
Yeah. And
they're specialized earplugs that help mitigate the pressure changes that people feel in their ear.
Sure.
And so like here, it's got, if people can see these backwards, of course, but it's got like the barometric pressure is decreasing right now by 0.12, and tomorrow it's going to be increasing, but it'll ding and tell you when you need to put your earplugs in.
Oh, neat.
So I've got a couple of my patients just trying it out because I was like, hey, try this out, see if it helps. Two of them say that they've noticed it helping with their migraines.
Well, that's good to know.
It's just another option for people who really notice that there's big changes in like head symptoms, migraine, headache, or vertigo symptoms. Well,
and it makes sense because of the sensors of our body. Everyone thinks of the 5 senses, and there's something more like a dozen. When we start looking at the pressure sensors, especially inside our body, we have baroreceptors that know. I mean, the ducks and the geese have baroreceptors, and all the birds that fly south for the winter, they have baroreceptors to know when they need to start flying because the storms are coming. And those, we don't have them as attuned to that for one reason or another, but we still have sensors like that, and all of these things could be related So
it could be triggering for people.
And where do people tend to feel that pressure? It's in the inner ears, because if you've ever flown on a plane, that's
or gone up and down in an elevator. Sometimes a tall enough building, you can feel that.
Yeah.
That pressure.
And when it's bad, I'll tell you what, if you've got a really bad ear congestion, I was telling another patient about this situation that I had. I was flying out to San Diego. I think we stopped in Colorado, so I acclimate up there, and obviously I'm up in an airplane, and then San Diego's at sea level. It is probably the most agonizing pain I ever had. I honestly thought I was going to go to the to the ER. Because I was going to have blood coming down my ears. I probably was wearing a white shirt that day too. That would have been really bad for the shirt and my vest. Thankfully, that didn't happen.
Thanks for all the visuals of that.
I know, it's wonderful. Well, that's how I'm sitting on the airplane. I'm trying to get my jaw to move and get my ears to pop at all. Just because, that's how the pressure felt like it was going to explode.
Yeah.
So I'm preparing myself. It's like, all right, well, we're going to get me off the plane. Someone's going to notice the blood. We're going to call the ER and get someone to do figure out what's going on and all of this stuff here. This is going to be fun. Thankfully it didn't. Then I got adjusted the next day by the great Jessica Lee down there. She came in special for me. And then I got into an Uber and whacked my head immediately.
Darn it. It's just how it goes, man.
It really.
Okay. So that made me think of something is, how kids are more prone to ear infections than adults because of, what's the direction the ear canal in adults is
it's more downward. It's
more downwards, and the kids it's more like that. So things get,
it's just more horizontal. The eustachian
more
tubes are
cloggy.
Okay. Right. They don't flow. They don't change as much because the head's big, but the head hasn't fully developed. And those eustachian tubes sort of finally drop down so they can drain properly as we get older.
So, and then the same thing is like a baby or a child on an airplane is going to be more prone to having extreme pain in their ears, probably for the same reason.
Absolutely.
Now, like you were saying, if there's a child or an adult that has ear infections or ear complaints going on, this is one of the reasons that chiropractic is so amazing, is because that atlas bone, what we talk about all the time, that top bone in the neck, is so close to the eustachian tube. Like if we took like a 3D image of where the eustachian tube and the atlas is, you can actually, I would say, have physical pressure because of the swelling and stuff around the atlas on the eustachian tube, not to mention the dysfunction that just happens in the ear because of neurologically.
Well, and then you have the other component where there's an actual little muscle that is attached to that eustachian tube, that if the atlas is out of place and now you've got everything else sort of twisted, that muscle is not going to be functioning the way it's supposed to. Biomechanically, biostructurally, everything's going to be in a wrong position. And that muscle is going to say, well, I'm fine where I'm at, but it's actually causing a blockage until everything gets corrected. And then once that happens, life is better for people. And
babies and parents who've had babies that have these frequent ear infections. These babies are miserable. They keep getting put on antibiotics. The ear infections keep coming back, because the problem isn't that they needed antibiotics. Its problem is that there's dysfunction in how the tube works.
Absolutely. And everybody else on the plane gets the benefit of the kid being healthy and not screaming their heads off.
There you go.
It's a real win-win situation all the way around. So
get your kids checked. Actually, a patient
get your
today.
Kids checked. Give the card to your favorite upper cervical practitioner, to those screaming parents, and say, hey, I know it, I get it, go see this doctor, they'll help you. So
absolutely
that way
I love when people, like I have a new patient just got her first adjustment today, and she goes, do you check kids? I was like, do kids come in here? What, and I was like, absolutely. I was like, kids of all ages. We had a toddler in here today. Sometimes I have babies in here. And today I had 3 teenage boys all at the same time. They were separate entities. 2 of them knew each other, and I love that I had 3 teenage boys all at the same time, all of them driving age, that came in,
nice.
Their parents gave them permission to come in, because that doesn't happen very often, because especially boys, teenage boys don't typically take care of themselves or think
absolutely
about
not.
that stuff. And all three of them had parents or loved ones that said, hey, the reason you're constantly popping your neck is that this is happening. Come and see Dr. Bagley or whatever, however they came in. But I think it's really cool that like at that moment, I had three unrelated teenage boys that were all resting. One had held his adjustment, but two of them were resting. One of them actually a son of a chiropractor that sends him in here because she wants that specialized care for him, which is cool too. When we have, I think that's probably the best compliment a chiropractor can get is when a chiropractor sends their kid to see you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or that, or even they're coming in for themselves and they don't practice what we do. And I have several of those. So, and it is neat to see, the kids coming in, and they get it, and especially boys, you just got to tell them you can't lift proper. You're going to hurt yourself lifting in the weight room if we don't have your head on straight. And they're like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I don't want to break myself.
No, they don't. And they, and boys are rough and tough, and not saying girls can't be too, but tend to be a little crazier and do crazier stunts.
Honestly, with boys, we have to remember if it's not falling off, it's not a problem. And I don't care what part that I'm talking about isn't falling off. Girls, you go through a whole different thing, especially starting through puberty, that you have to be just extra careful about things. And it just, you're already taking care of your health. Boys, I was probably 24 when I started realizing I need to do something about my health. Otherwise, I saw my grandparents and some of my cousins, and I just took a hard look and I said, I cannot let myself get into that situation. And that's when I started eating healthier. I started cleaning up my diet. I did all of the things. Still took me 2 or 3 years to find chiropractic. But, it didn't dawn on me where I was going. And sometimes you can look at your older aunts and uncles and say, that's not the direction I want to go. No. and let them be the role models that they're supposed to be for you. So that's a big one right there, all the way around. So
so I had a patient this week that came in. It was just a referral. It's kind of an opposite referral. What I mean by that is typically a wife comes in first and then refers her husband in, because that's how that usually works, as you know.
Absolutely.
But this time it was a husband that's been patient for ours for years, and then he sent his wife in, and she had just this back pain that wasn't going away, unrelenting. She's tried all the things, and he finally was like, go see her, and she did, and she wasn't like mad about it. She just didn't know until he said it, and it was good that he opened his mouth and said, go see my chiropractor. So she came in and it was back pain. She didn't really have neck pain, but where did I adjust? In her neck. I didn't touch her back. And the next time she came in, she was like 100% better.
Oh, sure.
She goes like, honestly, does everybody get better like 100% with one adjustment in their back? No. But I was so happy to hear that. And
especially those back pain cases that aren't like a hot disc or a 60-year-old. I see those get that, the back pain's like,
well, she is retirement age. So, she is older, but she's real healthy. Like she takes good care of herself.
Sure.
But one of the things that happens is rebounds happen. Like she lost her adjustment and then her back started hurting. And that's one thing that I like to point out to people is that when you first start care, sometimes it feels like you feel like $1 million after an adjustment. And that's incredible. And we celebrate that. But I also like to warn people is it's a roller coaster, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. And there's going to be times when you feel great, and then times where it feels like the rug got pulled out from under you and you're hurting so bad, and that's okay too, that is
Yes.
part of the process of healing, and it's up and down. And that happens with all sorts of healing, not just chiropractic care. If somebody had gotten, a broken arm, it might feel good one day and the next day it's achy type of thing, even though it's still healing. So cycles of healing. But it's one of those things that where some people will get, I wouldn't say she was upset. She wasn't upset, but I've had patients in the past be upset that they're not getting better anymore. And
Right.
I'm just letting you know, if you're one of those people out there that is struggling and having ups and downs in your chiropractic care, that's so normal. Not everybody is that
Well, and
miracle that feels good forever.
Exactly. And we're all going to hit a plateau in our healing process. Everything doesn't, you cannot push and push and push and push and always get better and better and better. At a certain point in time, you've got to sit back and coast and just sort of let everything work the way it's supposed to before it can move to the next level, before it's ready to make another transition for better and more strong healing. I wish we had a better way to just to understand that and describe it. I mean, for working out, I think it's just a matter of understanding that you will train so much. And that's a great example. Let's use Olympic athletes as an example. They will train not for something coming down 2 weeks out, but oftentimes 4 years out, or 2 years out for a meet, and they will start training in a fashion that slowly builds up their strength and agility and their function over the course of not a month, but several months, sometimes up to a year. I remember a good friend of ours, Dr. I want to call him Dr. Keith Wasong, but Keith Wasong.
Well, he is an honorary doctor.
He is an honorary chiropractor. He probably knows more than most chiropractors, but he was a power lifter for the Navy, and he had an amazing record and amazing skill set when he was doing that. I mean, his doctor was Reagan's doctor back in the days, just to put things in perspective. But his training routine, and he still does some level of that still to today, is he starts training in January and he continues training all the way through the year through November. And then December is his time off. In fact, he likes to share that his November, after they do all their shopping, he likes to, actually, no, it's while they're doing all their shopping. Apparently his wife and daughters love to do Black Friday sales. So Keith picks up a spot in the food court where he just is like, that's home base. And the girls are out shopping. And then after they want to drop off a package before going to the next shop, they're dropping it off with him. And he's just sitting down and writing out his game plan, sort of reviewing where he got to, is what got him to that part of the end of the year and what he wants to do going forward. And that same, he used that strategy for weightlifting, for powerlifting. I think he just went through a bunch of weight loss stuff for himself recently as well. And how does he plot out that strategy? So when we start thinking that life is not a sprint, none of life is a sprint, neither is healing. And even a sprinter for the Olympics is going to train for several years with the goal of qualifying for the Olympics and then going for the gold. And that is a process that doesn't happen overnight. I just got 2 new kettlebells for my birthday. They're very nice. I know.
How heavy are they?
They are only 28 kilograms a piece, which is 62 pounds a piece. They went up
2 of them,
and I got 12. That's the exercise. That's the program I'm doing. One day I do use one, and the other day I use both. And we won't talk about how badly my quads hurt right now from doing squats.
Oh my gosh. I have to say one other thing. I worked out with my trainer, me and my girls. So actually we should have her on sometime. She's a really awesome person. So my trainer is named Natalie Coomer, and she's in the St. Louis area, and she trains women only. And she had us do this really cool exercise, which was awful too. It's always awful. But I was really proud of all of us for doing it. But I'll talk about the exercise in a second. But one of the things she had us work out, which I've never done before, was she had us work out our psoas muscle.
Oh my.
So we were laying on our, not laying on our back, we were like in like almost like a half sit up position and holding a weight on our chest and kind of squeezing into it. And then we lifted one leg at a time.
Yep.
For 30 seconds or so. And by the end of it, you're like burning.
Oh yeah.
And we did it a couple times. And then of course, yesterday I was like, when I was getting into the car, I was literally lifting my leg into the car because it hurt so bad.
Oh yeah. Oh, it feels so good when it works.
Oh my God. I honestly, I told a couple patients that, because they saw me walking weird and they were like, what's wrong, doc? And I was like, well, I worked out with a trainer and I can't move my legs.
Yeah.
But she was trying to turn certain muscles on because we're going to do this running exercise. But I really thought that was incredible because we know all about how the psoas is like the connection between the lower half and the upper half of the body. It's wonderful when it's working right, terrible when it's working wrong.
Exactly.
And psoas, in case you're listening, is and want to like look it up, it starts with a P. Weird. PSOAS. PSOAS. Anyway, so the next exercise she did with us was we ran up a giant hill 10 times.
Which, oh yeah.
But she had us do this cool thing where we had a clipboard at the top of the hill, and every time we completed one run up the hill, we wrote a thought, like what we were thinking. And, it went from like, this sucks, I can't do it, to like, I'm proud of myself, I completed it, right? And it's a cool kind of thought process. But the coolest part about this, and this goes towards healing and everything, and I love that she did this for us, is when we got to the bottom of the hill, like we would walk down the bottom of the hill, like kind of like it was a HIIT interval type thing. Sure. And by the time you're bottom of the hill, your breathing is somewhat coming back down to normal. And she goes, don't turn around and look at the hill until you're ready to go back up it again. So she had us continue to look down, and we could stay there as long as we wanted to. But when it was time to turn, when it was time to go, you just turn and went. You didn't turn and contemplate the hill in front of you. Exactly. And way to go, Natalie, because that was like, I think that was so incredible for my twins to listen to, but it was even for me, who's done lots of self-help and all the things, but like actually physically doing it and being like, wow, when you contemplate, overthink an action, overthink of something that's coming up, and it comes with healing, or even picking up the phone to call a new chiropractor or call a new therapist or call a new doctor, even though you need to do it, but your brain is like, but what if I don't like them? But what if, stop the what ifs, just pick up the phone and call somebody to get the help you need. Yes.
And it's funny because last week, so a couple weeks ago, I came down, got adjusted by you. I still didn't feel great. I didn't get it. I didn't, so I was.
Are you saying I didn't do my job right?
You did, but I was still, healing, and I was unable to work out for the better part of a week and a half.
Oh man, that's rough for you.
It really was. So like all last week I didn't work out. Excited to get these. Yeah. The bell that I normally do for my warm up felt too heavy, which is always my reason to not work out that day. And I still ordered new bells. That's the funny part about that. But so there was a little bit of apprehension as I pick up these two new bells. What's funny is, 62 pounds, it's a little heavier than what I had been using, which is 53 pounds. Doesn't sound like a huge jump. It really isn't. But it was still felt daunting. And my kettlebell snatch that I was supposed to do on Tuesday, I had been doing, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. But it's the first time, it was only the first time I've been using A, this style of bell, and B, that weight. But yet a week and a half earlier, I had done 30 reps aside with the 53-pound kettlebell. So, and I said, I'm only doing 3 reps. I bet I can do 3 reps, which is nice because this thing then builds up from there. But it was just, again, it was that same hill. It's like, I can do this. And then I did it, ripped up my hand, nice little remnants of a blood blister. Yeah, I got one on this hand too.
It looks like the stigmata.
Well, stigmata would be down here in your wrist.
I know, but
this is my kettlebell stigmata.
In some movies, they've done it wrong in the past, and it was.
I know. But any case, like I said, it's my sacrifice.
There you go.
Because
Not
technically
quite as powerful as Jesus, but it's fine.
it's the best thing, second best thing that I can do to make sure that I am as strong as I have to be. Because after 28, I'm going to need a pair of 32s. And I've owned a 32 for a while. I can't push that overhead. I can do a Turkish get up with it, but I can't oh yeah, I can do a Turkish get up with 88 pounds without a problem. And but with from here to here overhead, pressing from what they call the clean position or the rack position to overhead, something is not connecting as far as strength wise. I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to figure it out.
Well, maybe it's because you just had a birthday.
Shush. That's why I bought the new bells. No, in fact, I feel stronger than ever. And when 50 years old you look as good you will not.
Now you do
no,
look
that's
great.
doubtful.
And happy belated birthday,
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank
Schurger.
you. Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
hitting the big 50 and just
but this is only a third
sailing through it.
But this is only a third of my way there. And again,
oh Lord,
how do you plan for that bigger, longer thing? If why did at 25 did I realize I think I need to do something with my health because somewhere in my brain said you're going to make it to 150, and I'm like, okay. Like I said,
so that's your plan. You want to make it to 150
and be as strong and active as I am right now.
Okay.
So that's people are like, Doc, you're crazy. Why are you doing it this way? And it's like, because it's like I make some sacrifices, but they're not things that are beneficial in the long run. Yes, Gene made the best. Gene surprised me. Best birthday cake ever. I did not know, and I was still not feeling great. Come Saturday, birthday cake made it better.
Nice.
Yes.
Birthday cake makes everything better.
It really does. I still have a slice left. That it'll be gone when this posts, but I still have a slice left for tomorrow after doing another round of snatches and probably more stigmata.
Tearing up some more of your hands.
Yeah.
And your hands, I call these my money makers.
Oh, I know.
I take really good care of my hands. If
I do too.
I don't do anything that's going to hurt them. And it sounded like you're doing some stuff that's going to hurt your hands.
No, these are just making them stronger.
Okay.
Yes.
Just be careful.
I always am.
So what does a chiropractor do, especially like a chiropractor that doesn't have an associate or anything? What would you do if you were hurt to the point where you couldn't practice for a little bit? Maybe not forever, but for like a temporary disability.
Well, first I'd be living at your house.
Probably.
Until you got me working better.
That's true.
So I would do that, and then I'd just come back. It'd probably be,
couple weeks.
It would.
And I'm talking about and that's the same thing I would say, is that we would take a couple weeks off and make sure that we're back on track.
Well, so funny story. Dr. Matthias, who sadly passed about a year ago, but he practiced in the area. He was an upper cervical doc. He'd been practicing for 50 years, as long as I've been alive, almost. And he didn't miss a day. He was, I won't say that he was as healthy as he could have been, but he didn't miss a day. He was always in adjustment. He had a couple people who worked on him. He did the orthospinology technique. So in a real pinch, he taught his wife how to adjust him with an instrument. And then he was working out in his shed. And when I say shed, it was one of the nicest workshops I've ever seen. Just a big old barn. And he was climbing down a ladder from an upper level when the ladder slipped. I can't remember what it was. I don't remember if it came back off the wall or if it slipped backwards underneath. Either way, he falls. Doc is not doing good. So I get the call that he's not doing good. And I'd been adjusting him a little bit at this point in time. he walks in. I can still remember him walking in with, I want to say he either had 2 canes. I think maybe he had a walker that day because he was that laid up. It was, and my phone was always already ringing off the hook with referrals from him because he couldn't practice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess this is it. I'm going to start seeing Doc's patients. Of course, I adjust him, and he's already feeling better. He comes in a little bit later that week, and he's just, I think he went from a walker to canes. And then like the following week, he's back in business. It was the absolute worst thing I could have done for my practice because I didn't get all of his patients right then and there. No, I know, horrible. But I get them. I have them now. They've been coming to me for the past year since he retired and then passed away, unfortunately. But no, I mean,
that's proof positive that when you put effort into your health, like if I have a patient who's been coming to see me for years and it happens that a car accident or an injury happens, I really do feel like they get better faster because they have already invested so much in their ability to heal, and then we just get them back on track.
Yeah. I've had several people who've been, regular patients who get in a car accident and they're like, and I'm sort of on the fence whether or not I need to even run it as a PI case and use their insurance.
It's going to take a couple adjustments
because it might, because oftentimes it's now I've had the cases where they've been a regular and then they get in a car accident and the car accident actually compounds other problems and they're a complete mess. And I have those cases too.
I've got one right now.
Oh, they're no fun. We love them to death and we help
bad
them.
for her.
Yeah. But
because she was doing so great for years, and this stupid whiplash injury. Guys, stop texting and driving. My gosh, it's so dumb.
No, it's just not worth it. But yes, there are cases. I've had several where they get a small fender bender, and we adjust them once or twice, and then they're back to it, and it's like nothing.
And that's what we hope would happen with everyone. But sometimes it just throws people for a loop and they've got new misalignments and extra problems. And actually that patient, I sent her, Dr. Blake that used to work here.
Yes.
She started doing acupuncture full time. And I sent her to her to start doing some acupuncture. And I think it's really helping that using the upper cervical that we've been doing. And then I think the acupuncture might be helping her hold her adjustments a little bit better.
And there's a lot of modalities that you can do to clean that stuff up. We've talked about clean diet. We've talked about improving, other activities, being physically active, just going for a walk. These little things will all pay towards the end of improving your health and function. And there's no one thing. Yes, I can get my Atlas adjusted, but it's not going to help me lift those kettlebells unless I lift the kettlebells. It's not going to help you get up the hill if you're not ready to go up that hill again. So it is one of those things where we have to understand that all of these parts and pieces are intertwined, and there's just so much going on, and nature is a grand thing, and we just need to be appreciative of what we have and how all these things work. There's a season, as the song goes. I'm thinking
for everything there is a season,
but for everything there is a season, and we just need to understand that that's part and parcel to healing and getting better. Speaking of seasons, by the time this gets released, it will be hunting season. And I want to speak to...
Does that mean it will be fall? My favorite season of fall.
It will be.
I love it.
Yes, because you probably want your pumpkin spice stuff.
I am a basic girl. I love me some pumpkin spice.
Yes.
I'm already drinking my pumpkin spice tea. I drink it all year round.
You need to get some of the Timcast.
I don't do coffee anymore. It's
but Cast Brew has an all year round pumpkin spice blend now. So, but in any case, but no, for the hunters, be mindful that you might actually benefit from getting your head on straight before you go out there.
I have a good story. Keep going, and I'll tell you it.
But two things. One, if you're a bow hunter, recognize that, as you probably are aware, that you have a very dominant side as you are hunting and pulling that bow back. True. And that can cause all
just
sorts
like
of problems.
bowlers.
Just like bowlers, that it can cause some imbalances. And hopefully you are balancing that out with some other stuff. As I'm learning, bow hunting is a push-pull for me. Left hand is pushing, right hand is pulling. But as I'm starting to get into pistol shooting, right hand is a push and the left hand is a pull it's opposite. So that there's the balance. And when I really relax, I can actually hit the target. But again, it's understanding and appreciating that, because if you're sitting and you've got your bow drawn at full draw and you're just waiting as that deer or buck or elk is sitting in front of you, and you're just waiting for that right shot, that's a lot of stress on your body in a extended position that, yes, it hopefully will pay off, but it might cause your atlas to be out of place and your next shot may not be as good. And the same thing for the rifle. Yes. You're in an odd, sometimes in an odd position while you're doing
for a long period of time waiting too,
yes.
in a stand or a blind.
Yep.
So there is the story I have is a couple years ago. This burly manly man came in and he was hurting, and he loved to hunt. It was hunting season, so of course I didn't see him as often as he should come in because sure. It was hunting season. That is no excuse for you to miss your chiropractic care, by the way. But so he came in and started care.
First. Tag out first, guys. Guys and
no,
girls. Tag out, then get in for your appointments.
Okay, whatever. They just needed, don't miss your appointments. That's all I have to say. But he came in, it was already the middle of season, and he was sitting in this deer stand, and he knew his sight and how far he could see.
Yeah.
He came in to get his adjustments done, and he goes, "Doc, could this help me see better?"
Yes.
And I go, "Well, funny you may say that, but I think it can, because there's muscles in your eyes and all sorts of things neurologically that can be changed by an upper cervical misalignment or alignment." And he goes, I can see all the way down to the end of my sight line now, where it used to start getting blurry, much closer. And I say, that's incredible. And so then he started, this is not what I've been only coming in when he couldn't see as far down.
Well, and the beautiful thing is, for those people who are like, hey, where's the science behind this? There is the Carrick Institute did a study on this where they were looking at the shrinking blind spot. So we have a blind spot on the back of our retina where the optical nerve actually comes in. So there's just a spot where, the nerve's coming in, and all the rods and cones that make up the back of your eye, they're just not as, they're not there. And supposedly your blind spot is, a consistent size all the time. Well, what was interesting is Carrick did a pre and post study of adjusting. I don't remember what level got adjusted, somewhere in the neck. And what he found is they were able to see that the blind spot would shrink through some sort of computer aided design, and that they were able to say, all right, this is where I don't see stuff. The blind spot shrunk like 20%. I mean, it was significant. Whoa. Yeah. So it's a big amount. So the better you have your head on straight, the better your eyesight will be. The better everything functions. And as a funny aside, I have been hating my prescription right now. This is the prescription that I've had since I was 15 or 16. And as of late, it has actually been painful to wear, that I want to take it off throughout the day more and more. And I'm not even doing the Andrew Huberman walk, for 20 minutes first thing in the morning at dawn to help with the eyeballs. But something's working. Something's doing better. So I've got to go get an eye checkup and see what's going on with that. But
so my question is, how do you go get an eye checkup?
so let's talk
You
about
start, no, but this is what I'm gonna tell you, and this, I'm yelling at
Oh,
all
yes,
the men
I-
that
yes.
listening is this, you start off by making an appointment and then you go. So, just do it, like tomorrow morning, set a phone alarm to call and make the appointment.
right.
And
Right,
then you'll
and-
do it. And that's the same for whoever's sitting on this podcast right now, being like, I don't know if I want to, but just make them, whether it's
Right.
with one of us or another upper cervical doctor in your area, just make that appointment.
Right, but let's clarify. As soon as you make the appointment, you've got the appointment scheduled. Make the appointment with your upper cervical doctor to go get checked before your eye appointment, so that
Yeah,
you
that's a good
have
point.
the optimal level of visual acuity. So when they
Yeah.
check your eyes, you get the best thing. Now, for myself, I like to find a doctor, an optometrist that has been trained in something called NORA, which I'm going to butcher it. I want to say it's the it's neural optometrist, not ophthalmologist, but optometrist, something. But anyways, that's what they're doing. Like I said, I'm going to butcher it. But these doctors,
Neuro-Optometric Rehabilitation Association.
that's it. I knew I was going to butcher it, but these doctors are trained. They're trained optometrists. They're like every other optometrist, except for sort of like us with the upper cervical. Went through all the chiropractic school, and then we started looking at these more neurological things. We looked at the atlas and how all of these pieces have a more profound effect on the body. These optometrists are trained in such a way that they're looking to make sure you have the right prescription for your eyeballs that will affect how your body works. And it's more than just how well you can see, because most people are seated in a chair doing the vision analysis. The problem is I don't sit in my chair all day long. I stand a lot. I walk a lot. I move around, and that actually changes your prescription and changes the center of gravity of your body. Mine drops significantly when I've got the right prescription in. And it's really funny because, if anybody asks, I'll demonstrate. But you can pick a spot on me and try to push me over just with finger pressure. And then I'll take my glasses off and you can push the same spot with less pressure. And I will generally try to not fall over, but you'll push me over. It is really amazing how much it settles down to a more comfortable spot. But again, my eyeballs haven't been happy lately, so I need to do something about that.
Yeah, make the appointment.
I will.
And if you have to come down here, you can always stay with me.
I've got a guy in Peoria that I go to visit, and
okay.
Then
I always like a reason for you to come down so I can get a good adjustment too. So do you have anything else for this podcast?
I think
Doctor?
that is about.
I think we did a lot of just random. We're going to call this the
really
random
did.
podcast.
This is our second. The only problem is this is our second random podcast in a row.
But they were good. We had good stuff.
We did have a lot of good stuff, and unfortunately we've been on a hiatus these past couple of weeks because we've had other things going on in our world.
We called it summer break.
It is our summer break as we start to get the next round of podcasts in the books. So, but in any case, we will be back next week with another episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Hopefully we will have something more organized. If you're interested in a topic, certainly, send us an email.
Post it. Let us know. Yes.
Yeah, no. We appreciate that. We appreciate 5-star reviews. I mean, that helps the algorithm.
Yes.
That's the algorithm, the 5-star reviews, we'll start looking at those as they start really rolling in. I haven't looked to see if we have any, to be quite honest, but if you're doing it, I will read the 5-star reviews as best as I can, and then we'll share and hopefully get more people sharing the podcast. As much as we love doing this is about getting people well and changing people's lives. So
yes,
Dr. Bagley, where are they going to find you at?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri. You can find me at Precision Chiropractic STL, like St. Louis, STL.com.
Sounds great. And I'm at Keystone Chiro SPI. Keystone Chiro SPI.com here in Springfield, Illinois. And I think that's it. It's been a long
You
day.
guys have a good one.
All righty.
That's all for today's episode of The Blonde and the Bald. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed today's show with Drs. Bagley and Schurger, remember, don't give up and just live with the pain. Come back next week and get more answers and solutions. Visit our websites at KeystoneChiroSPI.com and PrecisionChiropracticSTL.com for more info, and catch all the episodes of The Blonde and the Bald.